Welcome in. This is Legacy Beyond Wealth. I am Ben George with Rob Shelton at Axio Wealth Management in Utah. You can find them online, axiowm.com. We're finishing up a 4-part series. If you haven't, check out our first 3 videos. We talked about the business, Axio itself, Rob's kind of personal side, what kind of drives him every day, what he does away from work, and then also got into the clients, the people that we hope will get the most out of these videos every week. And we want to kind of finish up this and wrap it all up with the planning process itself. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, Rob, and I want to get into it a little bit more detail with you, just so people have a little bit better understanding. Obviously, they sit down with you, they can learn a lot more, but to kind of give them a high level look at what you do, let's start right there. Just start to finish. What does that planning process look like for you? I know there's a lot that goes into it, but for people that haven't experienced or don't really know, how would you describe that process?
Yeah, I think one where we really want to get to know the client. I think our ultimate goal is to be able to come out with one of 3 recommendations. And to be able to come into one of those 3 recommendations, we got to start with a really good discovery. Where we sit down with a client and get to know them in 7 key areas. It's nothing that's pre-calculated. It's more or less us having a conversation with them and really diving into what's most important to them. So we'll dive into their goals, relationships, their assets, the professionals they're working with. One of my favorite areas is expectations. I think I learned that early on in life, especially in married life and relationships. If you can meet and exceed expectations, that's a really good relationship that you have with somebody. And so want to make sure that we have the expectations of what the client's looking for up front. From there, we take that information out of the discovery meeting, take a couple weeks, and we kind of work our magic, if you will, look at the numbers and come back, and we have one of 3 recommendations that we would make. One being, hey, gold star, you're doing everything perfect. There's nothing more we can be able to add to your situation to help it be better. We don't see any other professionals that would be beneficial to work with, so just keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully we provide enough value there that the clients in that situation or people that we've met with that have been in that situation come back and go, man, I appreciate having that vote of confidence. And they're not just looking to drum up some way to do business with us. The second category that we would come up with or recommendation would be, hey, there's some gaps that exist, but maybe I'm not the right professional, or maybe I'm not the right financial advisor to be able to work with. But our commitment to you is that we're going to help you find that right relationship to be able to, that's going to be the one that can really help drive and have the most impact for you. And last but not least, that last category is we see, hey, there are some gaps that exist. We definitely feel like we're the best ones to be able to help address that. And we'll talk about what it looks like to be able to work with us and address those gaps that exist. We never want to have a client make a decision in a meeting that's impactful, a big one like working with us, without having some time to have some clarity upon that relationship. And so after that recommendation meeting, we'll just ask a simple question if they want to be able to do a mutual commitment meeting. There's enough value there to be able to take another week to think about things and get back with us. And then we'll have that mutual commitment meeting where typically we'll go over a few final questions they may have that they had time to be able to ponder about, because we want to have a long-term relationship where we can really have an impactful effect upon people's lives. And so I don't think that's something that we want to take lightly and make quick decisions on.
I'm curious, where does the average person fall in that when you do the review and come back with a recommendation? What category do you typically have people fall into?
It's kind of a little bit different places, and really our goal is to work what's best for that client or that individual. And so, we would say there's a good portion that we'd be able to see what we can be able to help them out, but there are times where, there's things that are outside of our scope where we know that, we wouldn't be as effective as others. And it's important for us to be that honest with the client and let them know that and say, hey, let us help you get to that point. I've had people that have come back and thanked me and said, gosh, thank you for helping me and being the one that had that honesty and integrity to not just try to make us fit into what you do, but helping us find that right professional. And others that we've recommended that, hey, they're doing everything perfect. There's nothing that we see that we could be able to add value to. Having that confidence of that second opinion, kind of dispel any fears that are out there, is very important to them as well.
Yeah, and if you want to sit down and have that conversation too, again, axiowm.com, you can schedule a time to meet with the team there right through the website. So I encourage you to do that. And I don't know, I asked the question, from start to finish, but the planning process truly never really does end, does it? I know a lot of times people think retirement's that finish line. I got there, I can kind of sit back and coast, but it's always ongoing, correct?
It is. I'm glad you brought that up because it doesn't stop at that mutual commitment meeting, and that's really when things start to ramp up, and really we start to have a big impact and begin that journey together. So depending upon whatever level of service that you sign up for, that we recommend to you, we could be meeting as frequent as quarterly to as infrequent as annually, but driving through what action items need to be taken to be able to really make an impact. Unfortunately, in our industry, they've gotten into these planning softwares. They'll throw a whole bunch of information in, and you'll get back this packet. Sometimes I joke it could be like 100 pages of data. And I always joke with people that doesn't really move the needle for you. What moves the needle is knowing what to do next and who's doing what by when to really make that impact. And that's where we're always coming back. We're leaving every meeting with actionable items. Who's doing what? And we get back together. We're following up. We got this taken care of. Maybe this is a little bit more difficult, or we need your help in this area. But those action items and execution is really what makes the difference. I wish I could say that we got some secret sauce that works really well. And I guess that is just caring enough about the client to help them know the next steps they need to take, and what steps we'll take to help them actually make a difference in their life.
Yeah, I mean those relationships and that honesty and that communication, trust. I mean, it is a secret sauce, and the fact that you can't find it everywhere anymore, right? It's kind of a fading quality in a lot of businesses. So cool to see that you guys still implement that, and it means so much to you at Axio. You talk about, okay, you've recognized some areas that you can help, some things that you can do to maybe course correct or help someone get to where they want to go. Talk about that a little bit more in terms of how you customize plans, how you help actually meet the specific needs of someone versus rolling out hey, here's your 100-page plan. Good luck to you.
Yeah. A lot of what we want to do is collaborate with your other professionals. And so just recently met with a client. They're looking to sell their business. They have a contract that's already signed. It's a multi-year contract with certain provisions that they got to hit certain marks to be able to have the buyer that wants to execute. And so a little bit more on complexity because we're working in multiple states, also a little bit on the international side. And it was really frustrating to me because as we're developing the plan, we reached out to the professionals, and not a lot of them wanted to be able to collaborate. And that was somewhat frustrating to us. And so we had to have an honest conversation with the client and say, are these the right professionals that you feel like are best for you? And over a course of a few months, they quickly came to learn that these weren't the professionals they wanted to have. They really wanted to have that cohesive dream team working together because they could see so many gaps, and they were so frustrated because what they don't know, and they expected their professionals to get together to work together for them. So that's one area is collaborating with the other professionals and making sure. That's maybe the number one step, is making sure we got the right people in the right seat on your financial planning bus, if you will. It's not just us, it's your other professionals, and making sure we work well together in a team. I can think of other stories where we had a client that all of a sudden their business sold really, really quick. And because they had an amazing team that we had already established ahead of time, a couple years ahead of time by becoming a client, boy, that went through really, really smooth. In fact, they called me on December 24th. So we're selling by the 28th. It was such an amazing price. And, if you think about only having 6 days during the last 2 weeks of the year, really was quite the challenge. But it was awesome because everyone was connected and worked really, really well together.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's a stressful times, and you add in the end of the year. That's a different level. All right, I know that for a lot of people, measuring success is, okay, can I get to retirement? Can I not run out of money in retirement? Is that how you measure success, or is there more to it than just the numbers?
Great question, and it's one that we asked a few of our clients. We wrote a book Together to Triumph, and took what, by worldly standards, or maybe other people outside looking in would say, man, that's a really successful family. And I took these 5 families, I asked them that question, and they always said success to them wasn't necessarily a certain dollar amount or a net worth to be able to achieve, but the type of life they're able to be able to live. And so I think we have to define success in what allows you to unlock that financial freedom to live your best life. That's what success really is. And what that best life is for each person is different. And so that initial discovery where we go through and see what's most important to the client and the goals that they're trying to want to be able to have. And sometimes they don't know right up front, and that's okay. And we help work through that and say, well, what is it to create your best life? And we've had some come back and say, gosh, I thought it was starting this charity and doing this thing. It's definitely not. And sometimes there's a little bit of trial and error that's in there, but being along the way and having the resources to be able to have the freedom to make those shifts or those changes is what really makes a big difference.
Are you ready to unlock the freedom to live your best life? Schedule your no-cost 60-minute discovery meeting with our team today. During this session, we'll take the time to understand your family's story and financial dreams. Together, we'll craft a personalized roadmap designed to help you achieve your goals. Let's explore how we can unlock the freedom for you and your family to thrive. Just click the link in the description of today's show to get started.
I'm glad that you pointed out that, you might not know what those goals are, right? I think that's, a position that is pretty common for a lot of people is I don't know exactly what I want it to look like. I know I want to get there. And that can oftentimes lead to hesitation, right, for planning. And one of the reasons maybe why somebody procrastinates, well, I'm not going to go sit down with Rob or whoever it is because I don't really know what I want to do yet. But I want to kind of finish up this conversation, this video with this question. Anybody that's hesitant, anybody that's maybe dragging their feet about planning, what advice would you give somebody in that position in terms of trying to help push them and motivate them to, hey, let's take that next step?
Great question, man. I would say for us, our number one goal for anyone that sits down to do discovery is to make sure that they feel like they're getting a significant amount of value back for the time that they're committing to sit down with us. And so even if they're in that situation of getting that gold star and nothing to change, we're hoping that along the way we're providing some education, letting them know why what they're doing is working for them, or if they need to work with another professional. Our goal is to have the feedback that we get back on a regular basis, that this was a very valuable, well worth the time and effort to go through a process like this, because it gave them a little more clarity, a little more comfort. And if it ends up that they are the right fit for us and do want to move forward, we look back on those relationships as some of the most treasured that we have out there. So I would say there's really nothing that you have to lose other than maybe a little bit of time. But that's one thing you have from us is our commitment is to try to make sure that we're giving you more value than the time that you're putting into it.
I love that. All right. Well, if you have questions, again, hopefully this 4-part series has helped you out, but you can always go to AxioWM.com. There's a link right there on the front to have that first initial meeting, begin those conversations, find out whether or not Axio is a good fit for you, how they can help you out. I mean, this is, as you can see, very direct, candid conversation that you'll have, and truly, hopefully, it's in your best interest, right? That's the point of the meeting is to figure out where you should go, which direction you should go in, and that will hopefully help you out. But we hope these 4-part conversations have helped you out a lot and just kind of at least let you know a little bit more about Axio. And we'll have a lot more to come. I know, Rob, we have a lot more coming down the road. We'll be getting a lot of the actual nuts and bolts of what you do and the financial planning side of stuff and strategies and that sort of thing. But wanted to kind of lay this foundation for everyone here on the YouTube channel. So we appreciate you indulging us in all that, Rob, and kind of taking us through everything. Got a much better feel for, what drives you, what's important to you, and I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, man. Appreciate yours as well.
All right. Well, stay tuned. More to come. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you again soon.